Hello everyone on my channel. Today we're just going to speak about the sacred geometry and have a very special guest, Iva. Hi, Iva.
Hi, and thank you for having me.
If you would like to introduce yourself, who are you, what you're doing for a few minutes, and tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you landed on that path.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm an author. I see myself mainly as an author that started writing um, fiction novels, fantasy novels, and then I slowly went into proudly sharing the truth as it is without covering it into fairy tale or fantasy. So now I write nonfiction as well, and I mainly specialize on sacred geometry, runes, and magic symbols. And also now recently, I've been sharing my trips to other worlds and other dimensions. So yeah, that's about it. Very simply.
Thank you for sharing. And I would like to ask you the first question. What is sacred geometry? If you'd like to explain to us.
So sacred geometry is basically, if we put it really simply, it's a philosophy or a study that puts meanings to geometries. So it assumes that geometries are not just dead shapes or just, decorative or shapes used for math or architecture or other things, but that they actually have profound meanings, like really deep spiritual and magical meanings. And it has been quite popularized, and mainly like we look at what the ancient Greeks taught us or what ancient Egypt taught us, and also different cultures that worked with geometries and derived symbols. I like to look at it as each geometry has a certain symbol, magical symbol that is derived from it. But if we look into the most ancient history on our planet, we always see that all the civilizations, all the cultures always depicted some geometric shapes and symbols. And they had meanings for them. It wasn't just decoration. Each symbol had certain meaning. And if people are interested, I really recommend, maybe you know the work of Maria Gimbutas. She was an archaeologist in the Baltic area, but she also did a lot of study on Central Europe and actually like the southeast where you are. And she collected all all these geometries and symbols that the ancient civilizations, mainly from Bronze Age period, that they depicted. And she was trying to figure out what they meant, even though it's of course hard to decipher. But her work really like maps that area and Europe and Central Europe and also the North Europe. And then there's also an author that besides me that focuses on it, and that's of course like, well, okay, I'm not gonna maybe mention too much.
Maybe
But
it's basically your point of view of what is the sacred geometry, you know.
yes,
And I'm
from
just
my
going to land maybe on the second question, how we can use it in our daily life, the symbols, and if you can
yes.
go more in depth into that.
Okay, so if I go into my view, then for me, like why I started to find geometry and the symbols so powerful was because I started to observe how it affects us from the inside out. If you look at geometries and shapes, we are made of all these shapes. If you look at our DNA, for example, here I prepared for my book. If you look at the molecular structure of our DNA, you start to see that it's here actually,
Yeah,
sorry.
amazing.
You start to see that there are hexagons and pentagons in our DNA, and different symbols derived from that. And if you look at microcosm all the way to the macrocosm, there are geometries everywhere. So it's inside, outside, of course, in nature. And if you start to like put it together, if you study like the symbols and what they meant to different cultures, and you put it together with geometries within us and outside, you start to see how much it influences us, because we are all made of it and we communicate with it daily, even though we might not be consciously aware that we are doing it. And when we learn this language, it starts to communicate back to us. And for me, this happens mainly in nature, because when you are in nature, you start to observe these shapes. And I love this, you know, for example, instead of like fortune telling with fortune tell with cards or runes or other things, I just go on these walks to nature with the intention to learn something or get an answer to something. And then I observe the shapes, the symbols that I see around me. And if they repeat, for example, 3 times, then it means that it's really serious, that I should pay attention to that it's telling me something important. But then the beautiful thing is that the symbols are not only like fortune-telling tools, we could say, but they are also these like manifesting and healing symbols. So like when we, for example, when we keep seeing the mandorla shape or the oval shape, I have it here in my neck, then it might tell us it's a gate between worlds. So if we keep seeing this symbol, it might be telling us that maybe we should look at ourselves outside this time and space in other worlds. But it's also a symbol of new beginnings, renewal, revival. So it might be telling us we need to start something new, or we need to kind of go through some rebirth symbolically. And then we can apply that symbol in healing, similar to Reiki. You know, the Reiki symbols, you can apply them for healing, or you can meditate with these shapes and symbols during prayers or during affirmations, you know, when you make affirmations. So it's not only like a fortune-telling tool, but also a magical manifesting healing tool. And that's what's so fascinating to me, you know, that it's not just that it tells you your future or what you're supposed to focus on, but also it gives you like a tool to work with.
And my next question, which I'm going to add, how we can basically use these symbols to heal our body?
We can do that in various ways.
Could you give
Of
us
course,
some examples, though?
yes. Of course, you need to know some basic meanings of the symbols. You need to look into that and not only learn it, but maybe also look at what they mean to you, the symbols, because we work with our subconscious. And the thing about symbols is they have certain meanings to all of us, but then they also have individual meanings for every person. It's a bit different. You know, some people are drawn to certain symbols, others are repelled by them. So it's to work with ourselves and also ask ourselves which symbol attracts us, which one we like. It means that there's something in that symbol that we might need. And on the other hand, if we really dislike certain symbol, then it means that maybe it's pointing to a part of our dark side or something we wish not to see about ourselves. So I would say pay attention to both what you really like and what you really dislike. And the in between is like, you know, maybe not so important. But to give an example, if you know how the symbols work, for example, really simply, a triangle. We have the upward triangle and the downward triangle. When we put them together, we get the 6-pointed star, or Shaktona in Indian belief. So it's the polarities in harmony, the 6-pointed star. The one pointing up has been usually connected to the masculine energy within us. We all have masculine, feminine, right? The inner mother, the inner father, the inner god, goddess. So this would stand for the masculine and this would stand for the feminine. So, for example, if we need to boost something connected to the masculine energy, for example, assertivity, drive, or some fire energy, it's also connected to fire, or we need to heal the inner father or work with the inner masculine, we would like work with the upward triangle and maybe meditate with it or draw it, have it around us, wear it as a talisman. There are so many ways that we can create for ourselves to work with. And if we would need to boost the feminine, or we need to heal the inner goddess, the inner mother, something with the feminine, then we could use the downward triangle. And when we need to harmonize them, we put them together into the 6-pointed star. And how you work with it, that's up to each person. That's the beautiful thing. You know, we use our creativity and our imagination. Some people like to have them at home, look at them during meditation. Some like to draw it. Some like to wear it. You can then also combine it with colors. I love that. You know, certain colors that have meaning to you, and you can then apply the colors to the shapes, and then you boost it even more, the power. And you can also bind symbols. So, for example, in this book, I have the supercharged symbols. I bind symbols like geometries and runes and Reiki symbols together. And you can create your own, of course. These are just the ones that I work with. But if you learn how to work with the symbols, then you can bind it yourself. So you can make your own talisman, your own symbol for specific, maybe healing. If you need to heal something specific, and then you bind the symbols that represent what you need to heal, and you make your own healing symbol this way.
So basically, if you're a beginner and somebody who is just stepping up in this part, you just have to follow your own intuition to choose the right symbol which you're going to work with, right? And how do you protect yourself so you're not going to go in a certain direction which is going to lead to basically self-harm, with the symbols? If you would like to tell us.
I don't think you can self-harm with symbols because it's all about the intention.
Right.
Of course, certain agendas have misused symbols, but it was with the intention to misuse their power. I always like to say it's like with a knife, you can use it to cut the slice of bread or, do something meaningful, carve into wood or something, or you can use it to harm somebody. So it's just tools. And I don't think if your intention is to heal, manifest, you cannot go wrong with any symbol.
I have a
Of
question
course,
which is
yeah.
coming up now from somebody from my channel. Can you manifest your soulmate with the symbols? Is it possible? And which
Well,
symbol you have to use? This is the question.
it can help. It can help, but it's not like that. The symbol itself would, of course, it needs to be in combination of your path, what you chose, what your greater self chose, and whether it's time to meet the soulmate or not. But then the symbol can help. It can help attract the right person, but
Do
it's
you
not
have a
like all
specific symbol? That was the question which I'm trying to.
specific for that one. Yes, I have it in this book actually. Okay, I'm gonna try to find it. But I would say for sure the 6-pointed star, because that harmonizes the God and Goddess aspect within us, and it also like attracts like the part that we are maybe missing. So also people that are missing from our life, such as a soulmate. Now I can send you maybe the one for attracting. Okay, I found relationship healing for some
Oh, wow,
reason.
amazing.
This
So we're
is a
answering
symbol
the question.
that I found for love, the closest. But let me see. I had one for love as well. I just cannot find it. Maybe I should send it to you so I don't, use up our time looking for it.
Because for me, this is really something new, the sacred geometry and obviously you're the expert there. And is there a specific symbol we can use basically to ask questions if we are really confused or we don't know on which path to turn? Is there a specific symbol which you know and it helps you, when you have to make a decision for something?
For our path in life, you mean like
daily life,
There are so many. It depends, like it depends what the path is, because for each person, like the path or the meaning is somewhere else. So you'd need to be a little bit more specific than I could do.
These are the questions which are just coming up now. Maybe you will give them like one symbol which you use for specific, I don't know, if you're confused, do you have a specific symbol you use basically to stabilize and be more conscious about your decisions and, in your daily life? Do you have a specific symbol which you use?
For me, always works the circle or the crossed circle, cross in a circle, because
what is that, if you would like to explain, like for the people who are watching us?
For example, the circle, if we go really simply, so circle is a symbol that all the other ones derive from, and it represents completion. If you put a dot inside, it means like the little person or the little us on a journey through the whole wide world, or on a journey through our experience, or also, us and the others. So it can be so many things. Like, for example, if, like you said about the life path, a simple circle can do a lot, but it needs to be mixed together with our intention. So if we use the symbol to, for example, the circle symbol, to affirm that we wish to go on the right path throughout our life and maybe end something or start something new, or maybe to understand our life path and its motion, then the circle is enough. And then if you mix the circle with something else, you give it a more specific meaning,
And you said that you're using a circle with a cross. What does it mean, the cross?
That is more centering. You give it a more centering quality. So, for example, if you need to understand your life's purpose, your mission here in life, if you put the circle there, you kind of affirm that you wish to know what really you are meant to create for yourself in this lifetime. It's
Something
like the
like
wheel.
that?
Yes. It's like the wheel of fortune, It's the materia of the cross, like the material reality, and the spiritual of the circle, or the completion, or the cycle. So if you put these two together, it's really powerful, but also centering, because you depict like the central point. And it has such a wide spectrum of meanings, this symbol, but it's also really simple. So I love this one. And it always pops up on my path when I'm supposed to understand something about my life purpose or life calling. So I would really recommend this one. It's also like a compass, like to orientate.
Do you put it like in a specific place, like on your fridge, to look at it all the time, or how do you use it? Like,
yeah. Any way you like. Some people like to draw them, put them under a pillow at night. Some like to have it, in the interior as decoration, or just to look at it on your computer, screen or something. Anything.
Okay.
What your fantasy is telling you to do with it, you can do it. And I don't think you can go wrong if you don't have some wrong intention with the symbols. That's, I think, a big misconception, that certain symbols are like bad, inherently bad. They aren't. It's all about how they've been misused by certain organizations, and you know what I'm talking about.
And my last question is, how can the geometry guide us on our spiritual path? If you would like to know more, how the geometry can guide us when we step upon the spiritual path, which we are choosing to follow.
Again, in so many ways. Like I said, like if you know some basic meanings and you know what it means to you, and if you combine that, it starts to guide you all the time. Like once you learn about the symbols and their meanings, you cannot get rid of them anymore. And they start to guide you on your path constantly. So you just can, it's like they say, see who sees, hear who hears. So it's like once you know the meanings, they will become wonderful guides and also helpers. And if you, for example, see the triangle pointing up, you will know, there's something with the masculine, or perhaps a man in my life that I should be aware of, that I should maybe pay more attention to, or it's something connected to my father or my inner masculine or my partner. And then when maybe there's some problem with it, you can then apply it to like pray with it or affirm with it to heal that aspect or that part on your journey. So you can work with it in so many ways.
And I have a question. If you would like to explain just for like a minute or two the difference between the Fibonacci and the crystal, the crystal spirit symbol, because so many people messed up and they used the Fibonacci for, I don't know, for growth. If you would like to clear that.
Fibonacci is how nature creates. So it's like certain numbers that are considered divine, or the numbers of creation.
I think it's mainly like the source spiral number and the Fibonacci number, the
The Fibonacci
frequencies. Yeah.
spiral, it's
What is the
asymmetrical.
difference like? Because I think so many people are confused, and I've been told that one is basically the beginning of life, and one is the end of the life, as a source. Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know.
Fibonacci spiral is just about like that. It's the spiral and the rectangle and the pentagon or pentagram are considered like most harmonious shapes in the Fibonacci number sequence, because it creates asymmetry. So it's not symmetrical, and nature always creates in asymmetries. So it's connected to growth or development, these symbols connected to the Fibonacci numbers.
Right.
Or asymmetry. Whereas I'm not sure what the other thing that you asked about is. You mean like symmetrical and asymmetrical symbols, or which crystalline geometry did you mean?
It was a question, so that's why I'm just asking.
Oh, okay.
They haven't sent me a picture.
I'm not sure what the other one was. Like crystal, something with crystal.
I think it's like the source, the beginning of the source, which is like more like a flower.
The flower of life.
Yeah, the flower of life. Yeah.
Yes, that's a really mysterious symbol, because it appears in all these, like in ancient Egypt and ancient China, and we don't really know what it means. But from my experience, it's like I call it the web of life, because in the flower of life, and that's symmetrical as opposed to the asymmetrical Fibonacci number connected symbols. The flower of life is symmetrical. It's in perfect symmetry. And you can observe so many geometries in the flower of life, and so many also runes. Like, probably everybody knows what the runes are, the magical alphabet of the Norse tribes, but it's much more ancient, and it's been found all over Europe. So you can observe the runes and the geometries in the flower of life. And for me personally, it has like proved to be a really good meditation symbol. Whenever I meditate with it or look at it before I go to sleep, for example, I have really powerful dreams or visions. And that's the flower of life I'm talking about, because it centers you. Like the symmetrical shapes, they tend to center you more. It's all about the here and the now. Whereas the asymmetrical which is connected with the Fibonacci sequence, creates more movement, more action. So it's maybe like to make things move that stagnate, while the symmetrical are perfect for focus and meditation.
Thank you so much for this interview and coming today. And obviously, we're going to have another one. Is there something you would like to add? We have like few minutes. If there's something you would like to share with us about the sacred geometry and the symbols, we have like few minutes.
Yes. Well, for me, it's a big passion. So I could talk about it for hours, but I understand that for somebody who is starting with this, it may be good, like if you are attracted to geometry and symbols, to really pay attention which one's called to you, because it has a meaning. And also maybe to pay attention because each geometry and each symbol is connected to certain numbers. So it could be combined, like if some people, they follow the symbols of numbers. For example, we get synchronicity of seeing the number 2 all the time, or 4 or 5. And these numbers are connected to certain geometries. So if you combine that, you have a much wider spectrum of the synchronicities that can communicate with you. So that's something I feel now guided to say. Maybe some people that will see this will work with numbers and it will click somehow, but it's coming to me now as something important. And then just focus on on nature, how nature guides us through these shapes, because that's the best language, the best wisdom, I think, that we can observe. For me, it works, at least.
Thank you so much that you decided to come and speak about the secret geometry. Thank you, everybody, that you watch us today. If you have any questions for Iva, please write them down and we'll try to answer when she decided to have another interview with me and answer these questions. Thank you very much.